An American newsreel of the early 1930s innocently reports this nameless civil war.
Troubled China turns on the enemy within her gates. These bombing planes of the Nanking government get ready to attack the rebel strongholds in Chiang Kai. Contact! High over the mountains, movie tone flies with the air forces of President Chiang Kai-shek. This is an actual bombing raid, and as we sight the first of the rebel villages, we commence the attack. Chiang Kai-shek is making desperate efforts to unite the various provinces of China, many of which are torn by internal dissension. And if he can't do it one way, he tries another, including bombs. China, Far East, land of ancient culture, land of bloodshed, rebellion, and war.
By 1934, Chiang has forged a blockhouse ring around Mao's communists, and squeezing ever tighter, feels certain they are trapped.
One of the most amazing episodes in history. As Jiang squeezed, they oozed, dissolving into tiny bands, they oozed through his fingers. In October 34, 90,000 men and women set out. Not just an army, but a government, an idea, carrying all their records with them on these little yo-yo sticks on what they called the Long March. It's a 1,000-mile trek they made from Jiangxi in Hunan, south to Guizhou and up to the Guizhou Plateau, and up across the foothills of Tibet, and then down again out of the mountains, down into Shanxi, where in these dry and windswept hills, they made their base. 90,000 had set out. They arrived a year later in October 1935, 20,000 left, and there they were to dig in. This is how Westerners saw them in these yellow barren hills, where, calling peasants to their cars, they finally fended off Jiang's pursuit.
In 1936, however, Mao's line changes. He calls for unity against Japan. Rich and poor must stand together, an end to civil war. Nationalist, communist, warlord, all must stand as brothers against the alien threat. This new line appeals to millions, but not to Chiang Kai-shek. He, his inner councils, and his generals persist. Final mop-up of the communists must still go on, entrusted now to friendly warlords in the north. Yet mysteriously, this final mop-up stalls. The most important front against the communists is held by soldiers of Manchuria, driven out by Japanese. These homesick troops have little stomach for killing other Chinese. Led by young Marshal Chang Hsueh-liang, they itch to tackle Japanese. In December 1936, Chiang flies off to see the young Marshal in Xi'an, to flog him on to sterner effort. In Xi'an, however, communists have convinced the young Marshal that civil war must stop.
Then there happens one of those episodes that sound as if they were written in the book of make-believe. And again, we have no photographs because no one invites a photographer to witness a kidnapping, which was what happened next. Chiang was there to urge them to fight the communists. And on the night of December 11th, he was sleeping in a villa outside of town when he was awakened by gunfire. And the young marshal and his troops were shooting their way into his villa and trying to kidnap him. Chiang was in his nightshirt and bare feet. He slipped out the back way, tried to climb over the wall, fell, he hurt his back, he lost his false teeth. His feet were bleeding as he ran over the rocks, and the young marshal's soldiers caught him and brought him back. It sounds mad, but that's the way China was, and it got even madder, because when they brought him back, they invited the communists down from North Shanxi, and on December 15th, the communists, the young marshal, and Chiang all sat down to talk. The communists and the young marshal said to Chiang Kai-shek, "It's time to end the civil war. We must all unite against the Japanese, or else." They could have killed him, but they didn't. And Chiang Kai-shek agreed. He would halt the civil war, and he would form a united front against the Japanese. And so on Christmas Day, they gave him a plane, and Chiang Kai-shek and the young marshal flew down to Nanking to announce the civil war was over. But Chiang had made no promises to the young marshal, so he imprisoned him immediately and kept him prisoner ever after, even to this day in exile on Formosa.
Christmas 1936. At Nanking, members of the government await their president's return. In pain, he hobbles out, announces to the world, a popular front of Kuomintang and communists will now, united under his command, turn to face the menace of Japan. Japan's imperial tradition has, however, a cardinal rule: always strike first. July 1937. The war is on. The Japanese now seek total conquest, not just another chunk of territory. They blast the heart of China in the Yangtze Valley, with Shanghai first to take the shot.